We're back with our asynchronous digital lecture. It's a Q&A response to your weekly discussion questions. And when I say you all, I am talking about our peers in creating social media presence and cultural movements, and all the millions of subscribers on our YouTube channel here. Taking questions from the class, and Dana asks one I can't pass up on. There's too much pedagogical potential here. The introduction talks about finding a style that works for you as a journalist. Page 15, I'm interviewing for journalists, Emily Potter. How do you figure out without looking like a deer in the headlights? So how do you figure out a style that works for you? Well, some of it can be sink or swim. I mean, you don't know unless you try, kind of thing. Like, just go and do. I don't think there's a template or rubric we follow to become an excellent journalist or interviewer just by reading about it. And that's important. We have to engage, and the more often, the better it's going to be, and the stronger we will get at that thing. But here's a couple of other criteria. Internships can provide a buffer zone, teach us something. We can observe others in the field, right? I think of an internship, and they're all different. And in each internship, varying degrees of labor, some pay, some don't pay, some, very few hours, some a decent amount of hours, some want crazy, schedule. Others, it depends on your availability. Okay, so they're all different, but internships can be a great opportunity for ethnography, okay, for field research, for us to be able to study in the real world, study using our powers of observation, our powers of question asking. When I was an intern, I was constantly asking questions to the professionals there. They understand that I'm in the room not just to watch and eat donuts and drink coffee. Learned a lot about donut eating and coffee drinking as a multi-time intern. Let me tell you, I'm exceptional at both of those skills. And I'm going to vouch for myself here. You can ask around the office, right? You can ask around MacQ. People know. I'm a coffee maniac. And donuts, right? Have a very terse relationship with those. Internships can be a buffer zone for us. Submit single pieces, see what happens, and and journalistic outlets vary. They're increasingly fractured. They're increasingly low paying. And I'm not trying to deter. We want to set up realistic apps. I think they're excellent complementary pieces to whatever you are going to do. I would not deter you from doing that. And go into it while you're flexible, or while you're doing other things as well. You're going to gain so much so quick. It's going to be fantastic. But here's something: there's not as many full-time journalistic jobs anymore. It's the nature. That's if you thought video killed the radio star, what do you think the internet did for journalism and print? But also, can you be your own editor and producer? All right, rhetorical question. Can you be your own editor and producer? That means being disciplined. How many of you have read your APA manuals or Chicago manuals, or whatever writing guides we've sent out? Do you return to those? Do you use the Purdue? I'm not talking to when I say you, this is you all. This is we, right? This is we language. I am never pointing my finger at a single individual. Just in case I was sounding, off there. We have to be disciplined if we're going to execute in a high-powered profession like that. Okay. So many questions from Dana. How to pick? Let me pick one more because you ask a real bombshell. Looking at chapter 2 of interviewing for journalists, Emily Potter, pages 29 and 30 talk about politicians and how they are good about answering your questions in a way that they will tell you answers they think you should know rather than what you didn't know. In general, how do you decipher what is true and what isn't? Evidence. I'm going to come back to that question. Is that for you to decide? What does that mean? What the word "that" with this is? Do you automatically lose credibility if you publish something that isn't true? You can. You can. Is it technically your fault? Ooh, let's remember plagiarism, right? Just like our rule of plagiarism. Plagiarism can be intentional or accidental. That's right. It's on nearly every syllabus we have. The definition of plagiarism. Same thing in journalism, right? You don't want to develop a bad reputation in journalism. And sometimes being a bad, not treating your interview subjects well, like that you want a door shut forever? Treat an interview subject bad. Throwback to a previous question today. Okay. In general, how do you decipher what is true and what isn't? Evidence. Remember these norms of argumentation: claim, warrant, evidence. All right. There's a claim made. There should be a warrant for that claim, and there should always be evidence supplied. This sounds like something we go over when we're writing papers and other written assignments. Why do we don't just provide our in-text citations and our references pages and our literature reviews? We're not just doing that stuff to simply adhere to APA style. Just like I offer flexibility sometimes. I understand there's APA style, there's MLA style, there's Chicago style. That it's not, uniform style is important, and but style, it's not style for style's sake, right? It's also teaching us about discipline. It's also teaching us a language of communication. Okay, so academic style is a language of communication, but it's also ethics. All right. Sharing, just like you have a source, you don't want to. They ask not to be revealed. Well, you better not reveal them. You've marked yourself as a turncoat journalist. Okay. But again, that word I've said several times now: evidence, showing your work, demonstrating that you did the rigor to fact check, that it's accurate, right? And that is how we gain the reader's trust. What is the diligence and the discipline in the final product? And so every time we hit a writing assignment, and believe me, we have far expanded in this major the types of assignments and projects beyond, not only the previous structure of the major, but the way many of the majors are structured. Okay, so we're getting as diverse an array of opportunities to build and construct and create and develop as you're going to find here. But that claim, warrant, evidence tracks consistently. This is a process of verification. All right, and that verification is something that's lost when we have all these lay voices out there online just speculating and gossiping, or everything that's just a rant or someone's opinion that's not really based on anything substantial. That's one of our big problems, right? It's really easy to just get online and spit spitfire at something, about something, and have nothing supporting the claims that are laid out. You just say it. And that's what Kenneth Burke, old theorist back in the 20th century, right? Early mid 20th century at that. This is what he called word magic, right? Word magic. He wrote in several of his books, words do things to people and through people. That is persuasion. We're not in a climate where we're just calamitously at war in a kind of barbaric sense, right? We're talking like life and death and violence and that sort. But we have what maybe scholars like Barry Brown would say rhetorical violence. All right, many debaters understand that term, rhetorical violence, meaning our words can pierce others. Our words, and it's not just nanny boo boo and sticks and stones. Okay, these kinds of things. This idea of like name calling. I mean, that's one form of piercing others with our words. We're talking about you can now, especially through the proliferation of social media, you can pierce someone's career, their identity, through the way you shape and structure your words. All right, so that is a heavy weight and burden and responsibility, and I don't think far too few people consider that. We're just having fun or something online when we can be doing extreme damage to others or ourselves. But I think the biggest problem, and this is, I'm going to pull right back out of our digital media literacy course. We talk about terms like information literacy and critical media literacy is not getting the difference. I would argue that there's probably a kind of invisible transformation that takes place where formerly we gave a lot of credit to things that were printed. Things in print were substantiated. They were supported. So we give a lot more trust and value in them, even if we don't read them, right? We offer trust to that. But what has happened is we have moved past that trust. I'm sorry, let me restate. We have reassigned trust to whatever we're typing and then reading on the internet. And and I can link that in. I can do a callback and tie it right to the way cable news operates. So there's this kind of a systematic problems that we face there. That's why I'm pulling it back around. I promise you, real journalism is an exhaustive process. And this is why, internet hot takes have killed information literacy, okay? Because people can't tell the difference between an opinion and a sort of a substantiated claim, right? Or a theory, a well-tested theory, or something of that nature. Or a scientific proof, right? We can't tell the difference. All right, super fast. No, I'm gonna jump. We're done there. A couple questions from Camille, and we're gonna be out of here. I'm gonna make it. Are open-ended questions or closed-ended questions better in face-to-face interview? Open-ended questions, always, almost no exception. Is a direct quote exactly the words provided by a person through an interview? Yep. Can there be an indirect quote by a person? Paraphrase others with permission, okay? Be careful with paraphrasing in an interview situation. Never reprint paraphrasing without having gained permission from the interviewee first. That's how people get into trouble with like miscommunication in interviews. From Uprising, when you create a brand, is the brand now your reputation? Yes, which is why all of your words have to become carefully guarded. And that's a nice capper on the talk I just gave about the power of words and the power of our voice to legitimize but also delegitimize. All right, so it's a hefty responsibility. We're not just gabbing into thin air. This has been great, folks. Hopefully you'll be able to take some of this content in, and I'm glad to provide it. Thank you.